I absolutely... Oh, jeez. Stand up, mate. Stand up. Alright, ghouls and ghoulettes, today I thought I'd do something a little bit different and a little bit fun. Today is a horror collection update. So essentially, I'm just going to be going over some new acquisitions, some new scores, all of them that we're going to be going over, you're seeing in the background here. Some have been lingering in the background of my videos and live streams for several months now. And I've actually had a lot of people inquire and be like, can you do a video on that? And I thought, I can't just do one video. I don't think it'd be as engaging. So how about, now that I've got some new scores, some new acquisitions, let's do one big video just for a bit of fun, because I love going over the details of these things. Some are really cool and some are really fitting tributes to certain artists. And I also have some pieces that involve same make and model pieces from the original prop. So I'm really excited about this. This is stuff that I geek the fuck out over, but I do have a few honorable mentions first. So first up, this is from my good buddy Cam, who is down in Tasmania. He's a cosplayer and a dear friend of mine. So he sent me this original Australian VHS of Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth. And it's got the nice holofoil on the front there. I remember seeing this in the video store so many times back in the day when I was a kid. When I discovered Freddy, when I discovered the Freddy VHSs and thought, what the hell is going on? And there's something about Australian VHSs, especially horror VHSs from the 80s, where you look at the back and there's no holds barred. They don't hold back. They show all the gore, all the nasty stuff on the cover and the back as well. It's absolutely ridiculous. So it was just a nice little nostalgic treat to see this back in person again. Secondly, this is one I've shown a few times, I think, on stream, and I've also shown it in a few other videos that aren't on my channel. So this is my original Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare soundtrack on vinyl. So I got this years and years ago, and what I love about vinyl is they use such high quality, sometimes never before seen or rarely seen images on the back, and it says, "To Chris from DJ Freddy, Robert Englund." So I had Robert actually sign this at Oz Comic Con in 2016, and he was so cool, and he was jonesing to see this. He was so excited because he saw some images on the back and he's like, I don't remember those being taken, because most times out of 10, when you're filming, you also have the set photographer there and you can see them off to the side or in the background snapping photos. And he essentially said there's some stuff I don't remember filming that or that being taken. So he'd never seen some of these images before, which is really cool. Alrighty, so the first cab off the rank is the one that I mentioned has been lingering in the background of my videos and live streams for a good couple of months now. This is a beautiful replica of the Part 1 Razor Glove from the first A Nightmare on Elm Street, made by the ever so talented Tony Gill. I absolutely... Oh, jeez. Stand up, mate. Stand up. I absolutely love this thing. Tony has done a brilliant job, especially when it comes to replicating those beautiful blades. For those who aren't aware, the original knives that they used on the glove were Case XX P210 tomato knives with the handles removed and turned upside down. He's even got the bevels on it. He uses Type M copper pipe, the exact same copper pipe, the same type of copper pipe that they used on the screen used glove. Now, in terms of the leather, I think it also is a bit of a kit bash job when it comes to the leather, because as far as we know, it was either a old style Wells Lamont or a old style Stanley glove that was used. For the original leather glove, it no longer exists. Like, it probably is out there somewhere in someone's storage. They just don't know what they have. But in terms of finding them on eBay, Etsy, just marketplace, anywhere, it's impossible to find the original leather. We obviously have the blade break here, and overall, it's just a beautiful, aesthetically pleasing looking representation of the Part 1 glove. So I'm going to try it on and just show you guys a bit of movement. Go, tighten the strap, and again, just such fluid movement, everything. Now, the best way to wear these is to tighten the strap and make a fist so it kind of bunches up, the leather bunches up under the back plate. That's how Robert wore it in the first one and second one, and it's just such a trademark look of the Part 1/Part 2 glove, even though this is the representation of how it looked in Part 1, you know, a lot more charring on the back plate and the finger stalls and stuff like that. And by the time Part 2 rolled around, the blades had been blunted a lot, the copper stalls had changed, they've gone to more of a caramel or caramel look, and the back plate as well had changed shape, and a lot of the charring had been scuffed off. The red ball had been ripped off by the time Part 2 rolled around. But yeah, overall, an absolute beautiful glove from Mr. Tony Gill. Alrighty, we have the Ghostface 25th Anniversary Edition mask. So these things have quite a bit of history to them and not in a positive light. So if you do your research about these, you'll see that a mass amount of these had a pretty bad defect. Now, I've done my reading on them. The best bet is to go over to Douglas Little's channel called Drown Boy Productions and check it out in terms of the history of this mask, but essentially I don't know whether it was a mold, a fungus, or bleeding from the actual fabric, but a lot of these masks have little blue dots and little blue stains throughout them just from this contamination within the vinyl. It's completely harmless to us, but it can jump onto other masks. So it's probably one of those things where I shouldn't have him displayed up there. I should probably keep him separate, but it was essentially just for this video. So it is a beautiful looking mask. The only thing is this shroud is just god awful. And it is cool that they've gone the extra step of trying to emulate the sparkle fabric for these ones, but it's just a really cheap feeling fabric. So I am going to have it re-shrouded, not with sparkle fabric, but just a regular shroud, because I do have a robe on the way, a Scream 2 robe from Scream Robes. So a very big thank you to him. I'm really looking forward to that. And I feel like having this re-shrouded just with a nice normal cotton shroud, because by the time you've got the hood on, it's going to look $1 trillion. So this did come as part of a collector's pack, and I did post this on my Instagram shorts a while ago. Now, it was already opened. I didn't open it up and ruin the mint condition. It was essentially opened up to check if there were any blue dots, blue stains, and from what I can see and from what the seller told me, we're in the clear. So I'm very happy that this is a nice clean one. The cool thing is that these are the masks that they use, well, some of the masks that they used in Scream 5 and obviously re-shrouded them. You know, when the costuming department got them, they hated these shrouds, so they re-shrouded them. And from what we can see and from what I've seen on some Ghostface Facebook groups and stuff like that, these masks also feature in Scream 6. There are certain shots from the subway when the crew is on the subway and you see all the different ghost faces there, that they are indeed wearing some 25th anniversary masks. Apparently, some of them even have blue dots, which is... It makes the blue dot ones even more valuable now, so that's just insanity. Either way, it's a really cool collector's piece, but I definitely am going to have it re-shrouded. Next up, we have this gorgeous H40 Trick or Treat Studios rehaul mask by the ever so talented Seven Sins Studios. Surely you guys have heard of Seven Sins if you're in the Myers Mask community. It's usually the holy trinity that is Seven Sins, Remzap, and Simon Brandolino, who just do incredible work. The cool thing is about Seven Sins, he uses the same make and model brand paints and stuff like that. Most notably, the Nightshades by Mr. Justin Mabry, and it's my favorite look of H40 rehauls in my opinion, especially when it comes to the hair. The hair is just so matted, chunky, disgusting. It even comes with an evidence tag that reads, you know, evidence description, white latex mask recovered and seized from Lambkin Lane town of Haddonfield, Illinois, date and time October 31st, 1978 at 11:53 p.m. How cool is that? Just those nice little touches to props like these I just dig and adore and really appreciate the extra effort that artists go to replicate these things. Now, I'm not going to try it on because it is a very small version of the Tots mask. Like, it's really tight on me. Like, tighter than it was on Dick Warlock's head in Halloween 2 when it came to the original Shatner mask. But either way, it's a beautiful display piece on its own. Next up, this is something that arrived yesterday, and I was actually waiting on this before I could do this video because this is something really special and a beautiful tribute piece. So this is a hockey mask, a replica hockey mask that Jason Voorhees wore in Freddy vs. Jason. Now, this has some lineage to it. This comes from a mold that was owned and made by Bill Tesarakis, the late great makeup effects artist who worked on Freddy vs. Jason and did most of those incredible effects, the makeup effects for Jason, for Freddy. So there was an auction after Bill's untimely passing, and Sean Clark, you guys know Sean Clark, the famous Sean Clark, picked up the mold in the auction and offered 20 blank castings made by the incredible Josh Ludemann, and I hope I'm pronouncing your surname correct, sir, of Beyond Disgusting Studios. Now, Josh and Sean were offering blank castings or completed hockey masks. And look, I've painted some hockey masks back in the day, but I don't have enough practice where I don't feel I could do something that comes from a screen used mold justice. So I asked Josh kindly and paid the extra to have him paint and strap the mask up. And my goodness, it is absolutely beautiful. The weathering on the strapping is just so disgusting and gets my weathering juices flowing. It's an absolute credit to Sean and Josh, and it's so cool to see them offer 20 of these things to the general public. Look, it's not a dig. There are some prop collectors out there of screen use props that are just real odd. They just don't share their stuff with the world. They keep it in storage. They share shitty little grainy, low-res photos of the stuff, and I'm like, come on, man, sharing is caring. And the fact that Sean and Josh have gone above and beyond and done this is just really cool. So it is cast resin, slush cast resin from the mold, and the paint job is absolutely exquisite. It is a perfect representation of the hockey mask, one of the hockey masks. There are a few variations throughout the film with cuts and cracks and stuff like that, but this is the main one, the main kind of hero look that they had going on for Jason in the film. So it is numbered. I'm actually number 19, and it also came with a certificate of authenticity. This blank pool of Jason's iconic hockey mask from the 2003 film Freddy vs. Jason was cast directly from special makeup effects artist Bill Tezarakis' screen-used movie mold. This mold was purchased from his family auction in 2022 after Bill's untimely death in 2021. The mold is now in the private collection of Sean Clark, who has allowed a small number of castings to be made for collectors. Number 19 of 20, signed by Josh Ludemann, the artist, and Sean Clark, the owner. So there you go, a very fitting tribute piece, and one that I've been after for quite some time. I always have been a sucker of the Jason hockey mask from Freddy vs. Jason. The fact that it has screen lineage to it is really cool. So I do want to make a nice display with possibly some old style, like rickety, rusty, just dilapidated wood beams and stuff like that, so that I can mount on the wall along with that beautiful certificate of authenticity. Okay, we're down to our two final pieces, and these two actually came in the mail a couple of days ago in separate parcels because it's the only way to get them here in Australia because of our customs and stuff like that, but that's a whole nother story. So this piece and the last piece are from the ever so talented Jameson Michael Knapp over at Dark Dream Design. This is a Part 4 razor glove from A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, worn by Freddy Krueger. This, in my opinion, Jameson has done it. Jameson offers two styles of gloves with each glove, I'm pretty sure. He does his high-end ones and his regular ones, and this is his regular one, and it's absolutely stunning to say the least. It's such a beautiful representation of the original prop, and I keep forgetting just how kind of chunky and like razory and sharp the Part 4 glove is. Now, the cool thing is about this one and the other glove I'm going to be showing you guys is the armature is mounted on an original vintage Wells Lamont 1178. Now, for those who don't know, those are the original leather gloves that they use on the Parts 4, 5, and 6 gloves. In this case, they used a Trucker's Special, which just means it has a Trucker's Special stamp there that they kind of soil and stain out, which Jameson has done, but it is a vintage leather. Now, keep in mind, Jameson doesn't offer vintage leathers on his gloves unless you provide him one. So I had to track down a couple of 1178s, which do cost a pretty penny, but the fact that you have an original make and model leather glove on such a beautiful looking armature, it just hits home for me. Like that's all I want at the end of the day. So let's try this bad boy on. Look at that. It's just so like little and chunky and just bladey. I love it. I love the blades. It just, the details just absolutely pop on this thing. At one point, the lower rivet on the back plate did come off the leather during production. Jameson has replicated that. Even just the way, this is going to be so nerdy to explain. See how the pinky kind of hangs down there? That's just how it is on the glove. There's certain shots in the film and even certain shots in the TV series Freddy's Nightmares where they use the Part 4 hero for certain shots, like even in the intro, like where you see the glove go to slash and stuff like that. It just has the same silhouette and everything. It's just absolutely stunning to look at. The coloring is spot on. The solder spills are spot on. The weathering on the leather is spot on. It just looks so disgusting and like you'd need a tetanus shot just by looking at it. So Jameson has done an incredible job once again, but we've still got one more glove to show you guys. And last but certainly not least, and again from the ever so talented Jameson Michael Knapp over at Dark Dream Design, is his Part 6 glove. And I have a soft spot for the Part 6 glove. I have a soft spot for Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. Most of you guys know that it was one of the first Freddy films that I had ever seen in the franchise when I was a little kid. And despite how goofy it is, it scared the shit out of me when I first watched it. And that glove was just so chunky, beefy, tanky to look at on screen. I fell in love with it. So my favorite gloves are the Part 6 and the Part 1/Part 2 gloves. And Jameson, again, has just replicated every single little thing, even though this isn't one of his high-end ones. It's absolutely crazy to see. Once again, mounted on a vintage Wells Lamont 1178. There's just something so charming about the folds and the backplate, the solder spills, the chunky butter knives, everything. I just love about it. The coloring difference between the copper and the brass, and then the leather, the kind of off gray, off brown leather, everything is here. Nothing is left to chance on Jameson's gloves. He tries to replicate every single solder spill, you name it. You know how hard it is to replicate solder spills, ghouls and ghoulettes? It's a hard thing to do because solder can sometimes have a mind of its own, and any glove builder will tell you that. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Let's try this thing on. Now, when it comes to the Part 6 glove, you do have to tighten the pull strap. That's how Robert wore it for most of the film. But there you go. Now, when it came to first wearing this and the Part 4, it was a little tight at first, but the more you wear it, the more it loosens up. The armature loosens up and stuff like that, and kind of shifts to the size of your hand, especially when it comes to the knuckle sections. It can be quite tight there with the lower ringlets and stuff like that. But just as always, Jameson has just knocked it out of the park. I love replicating that shot when Freddy's like, come on. You know, that shot there when he goes to cut Carlos's ear off and stuff like that. It's just a beautiful looking glove. Now, I do plan to eventually get a Part 3 glove. I do have something very cool on the way in regards to Wes Craven's new Nightmare. That is going to be a whole video in itself because that is something really special. Now, a lot of people are probably wondering, why don't you just make yourself some gloves? And, you know, that was my start out, making gloves and stuff like that, but I don't make gloves anymore. You know, I leave it up to the builders that are smashing these things out of the park these days, and I love having something from an artist, something that isn't mine. It's like when you cook your own dinner, and most times out of 10, it doesn't taste the greatest, whereas someone else who makes dinner or makes lunch or breakfast, it's made with love, and you understand that, and you just appreciate it a lot more, if that makes sense. There we have it, ghouls and ghoulettes. I hope you enjoyed this little horror collection update. Now, in the next couple of days, I'm going to be doing my trailer reaction for The Flash. That is going to be premiering at the Super Bowl, so that's going to be Monday morning here for us, so I'm going to be on standby for that. I'm also going to be doing a cosplay guide to the Ghostface look from Scream 6. So there are a few changes, there are a few variations, and some nice little tidbits that I'm going to be throwing in there, so I'm really looking forward to that. Let me know down below what your grail piece is, whether it be screen used or a replica. If it were up to me, it would obviously be the screen used hero glove from the first and second A Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, that is the ruby slippers of any horror prop. Even though it resides in a museum in the States, that's fine. I might just get a ticket over there and pay it a little visit, and it might just come home with me. See how we go. Guys, wherever you are in the world, please have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. I hope you will. Hope you're happy. Be merry, be silly. And until next time, ghouls and ghoulettes, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.